Okay, so let us start. So in the last class, I asked you a question that in the last class I asked you this question. So let the function be from the set natural number union 0 to the set natural number union 0. So basically this is a set of whole numbers and this is also a set of whole numbers. So the function or the mapping is from whole numbers to whole numbers defined by this. Okay, I'll rewrite it. So the function was from natural number union 0 to natural number union 0, and the function was defined as f of x was defined as x plus 1 if x is even. Function was defined as x plus 1 if x is even, and x minus 1 if x is odd. If x is odd. Okay, so we have to show that whether the function is bijective or not. Okay, so again this question is of a similar kind as we have done before. In this question also, the function, this domain is divided into two different parts. One is odd and one is even. Okay, so to find first injective nature, to find the injective nature or 1-1 nature, to find the injective or 1-1 nature of this particular mapping, what I'll do, I'll take three different cases. So case 1 and case 2. Case 1 and case 2 will be of the similar kind, that is if x1 and x2 belongs to odd numbers, or x1 and x2 belongs to even number. Okay, for x1 and x2 belongs to odd number, that means it is of this kind. So if x1 and x2 are odd numbers, I can write this as, I can start by x1 is not equals to x2. I can write x1 as 2n1 plus 1 and is not equals to 2n2 plus 1. Okay, if I substitute 2n plus 1 to n1 plus 1 in this function, it will become 2n1 plus 1 minus 1. This will be y1 and y2 will be 2n2 plus 1 minus 1. Okay, so y1 will become 2n1 and y2 will become 2n2. Okay, now see, this y1 is also an even number and y2 is also an even number. That means if I substitute odd number in this, it will become an even number. If I substitute x is odd in this, the y will become an even, because odd minus 1 will become even. Okay, so if I substitute y1 is equals to y2, I will get 2n1 is equals to 2n2. From this I will get n1 is equals to n2. If I'm getting only this, that means it is injective. Injective in which domain? Injective when x1 and x2 belongs to odd. Okay, now second part is when x1 and x2 belongs to even. So if x1 and x2 belongs to even, I can take x1 as 2n1 and x2 as 2n2. Okay, where x1, where these two are not equal, I will substitute now y1 equals to y2, where y1 will become, if I substitute here, y1 is equals to 2n1 plus 1 and y2 will become 2n2 plus 1. y1 is equals to y2, so 2n1 plus 1 equals to 2n2 plus 1. 1 and 1 gets cancelled, 2 and 2 gets cancelled, so this is n1 equals to n2. Again, if I'm getting only this solution, that means it is injective in nature. Okay, so when both of them are odd, it is injective. When both of them are even, it is injective. Okay, now the third case 3 was when x1 belongs to odd and x2 belongs to even. Okay, when x1 was belonging to odd and x1 is belonging to odd, I can substitute x1. I can write x1 as 2. So x1 I can write as 2n1 plus 1 and x2 I can write as 2n2 because x2 is even. So 2n1 plus 1 and 2n2, where 2n1 plus 1 is not equals to 2n2. If I substitute x1 and x2 in the function. So because x1 is odd, I will substitute in this. So this will become 2n1 plus 1 minus 1. This is y1, and y2 will become 2n2 plus 1. If I substitute them, if I substitute these two, so this become 2n1 is equals to 2n2 plus 1. This is a different solution other than n1 is equals to n2. Hence this one is not injective. Understood? And this one is not injective. Okay. I hope you understood. So I'll take the third case. I'll take the third case once again. I think I made a mistake. Just I'll check once again. So we have x1 belongs to odd and x2 belongs to even. So if x1 belongs to odd, I can write this as 2n1 plus 1. This will be odd, and x2 as 2n2 plus 2n. This will become 2n. 2n1 plus 1 is of odd form. So this is one more thing. See, if x1 is odd, when I substitute this in the function, I will get y1 is equals to the original function was when x1 is odd, I will substitute in this. So this will become 2n1 plus 1 minus 1. So this will become 2n1. That means y1 will be even. That means y1 will be even. Okay. In second case, when I have 2n2 as even, so y2 will become if I substitute in this, so this will become 2n2 plus 1. So that means y2 is always odd. That means y2 is always odd. Now see, if I substitute y1 is equals to y2, y1 is always even.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Students were asking for case 3 once again. Sir.
Yeah, this is case 3 only. Okay, so see, in case 3, what is happening? If y1 is always even, and y2 I'm substituting odd. Okay, y2 is always odd. So can I substitute y1 is equals to y2? See, in this case, what is happening? This is on the left side. I have always on the y2 is always odd. Okay, and y1 is always even. Y1 is always even. So on the left side, I have an odd number. Sorry, on the left side, this part, I have an even number. And on the right side, I have odd number. Okay. On the left side, I have y1 is coming out to be 2n1. And on the right side, I am having 2n2 plus 1. This is okay. Now, this is a solution other than n1 is equals to n2. This everybody understood, right? But then why I am saying that this is not injective? Why am I saying this is not injective? Because if I substitute n1 as any natural number, n2 will become what? N2 will become what? N2 will become a non-natural number. It will become a fractional or rational number. Okay, it will become a fraction. And we have already seen that the domain of the function is whole number. That means n1 and n2 have to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. This everybody understood? That means on the left side I have even and on the right side I have odd. So for any natural number this is not possible. That means y1 can never be equals to y2. That means this is injective in nature. Injective in nature. Everybody understood? Everybody understood? This is injective in nature. Why this is injective in nature? Because on the left side I have even and on the right side I have odd. I cannot equate even with odd. Okay, whatever n I will substitute, n2 will come out to be fraction. But n1 and n2 have to belong to a whole number. Fine, this everybody understood? Just copy this. Okay, now next I will look at the surjective nature of the function. Now I will look at the surjective nature of the function. For surjective nature, let's look at the function once again. The function was saying that it will become x plus 1 if x is even, and it will become x minus 1 when x is odd. Fine. X plus 1 when x is even and x minus 1 when x is odd. Where all these, where x is odd, where function was natural number, domain was natural number union 0. That means whole numbers. Okay. So we know that we'll start with, so x plus 1 when x is even and x minus 1 when x is odd. Okay. So this is moving from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Okay. So let's substitute first. If I substitute 0, because 0 is an even number, so 0 will map with, so 0 will map with, so 0 will map with 1, and x minus 1 is odd, so 1 odd, it will map with 0. Again, when I substitute 2, it will map with 3, and 3 will map with 2. 4 will map with 5, and 5 will map with 4. So that means all the elements of the codomain, are utilized, or all the elements of codomain will be equals to the range. Hence, it is surjective in nature. Okay. So understand this thing. I will explain why in the case 3 why it is injective in nature always. Okay. This part I hope everything is okay. Now see. Again, I'm explaining for the case 3. Case 3, just listen carefully. I have taken x1 and x2, one belongs to odd and other belongs to even. Now, x1 and x2 both belongs to whole numbers. X1 and x2 both belongs to whole numbers. So you cannot get x1 as 1 by 2 or 1 by 3 or anything. You should get x1 as whole numbers. Okay. I have taken x1 as odd, so it will be of the form of 2n plus 1. Okay. x2 as even, so it will be form of 2n. Okay. I have substituted this in the function. So y1 is coming out to be 2n1. y1 is coming out to be 2n1. And y2 is coming out to be 2n2 plus 1. y1 is coming out to be 2n1 and y2 is coming out to be 2n2 plus 1. Okay. Now, if I substitute y1 equals to y2, if I substitute y1 is equals to y2, I am getting 2n1 equals to 2n2 plus 1. I am getting 2n1 is equals to 2n2 plus 1. Okay. Now, in the previous cases, if I am getting any other solution, then n1 is equals to n2. I will take this as not injective. If you remember, not injective, right? But then what is happening is this n1 and n2 belongs to natural whole numbers. This n1 and n2 belongs to whole numbers. Now, if these are two whole numbers, then no matter what number you substitute here, these two parts will never be equal. Okay, these two parts will never be equal. For example, if n1 I am taking as 1, so this becomes 1, 2 into 1, 2, 2 minus 1, 1, n2 will become 1 by 2. Okay, if n1 I will take 2, so this is 2 2s are 4, 4 minus 1, 3, 3 by 2. If n1 I am taking 3, 2 3s are 6, minus 1, 5 by 2. So n2 is always coming out to be fraction. Okay, again, if I am taking n2 as 1, n2 1, 1, 2 plus 1, 3 by 2, n2 as 2, 2 2s are 4 plus 1, 5 by 2 and so on. So n1 is coming out to fraction. So that means no matter what n1 and n2 are you will take, these two will never be. So this is the case we are getting, but this is not possible because y1 is always even and y2 is always odd. Why we cannot substitute 3 is equals to 4? We cannot substitute 5 is equals to 2. Understood? This is what we are doing. Okay. Now, this was for injective. Third case, first and second case were simple enough. Now again, surjective nature. Surjective nature, what I'll do is this was the function given, fx. This was the function given. So what I'll do, I'll write the domain. This was domain, and I'll write the codomain. Domain and codomain have been given. Okay. Now, when I'll substitute 0 in this function. So 0 is even. This is x plus 1. 0 will give you 1. Okay. When x minus 1, this is odd. This will give you 0. Then 2 will give you 3. 3 will give you 2, and so on. So basically, in codomain, you are utilizing all the elements of the codomain. Okay. This was the graphic, means this was the logical approach towards to solve surjective nature. I will also tell you the mathematical approach. Okay. This was the graphical approach or logical approach to solve surjective. I will also tell you the mathematical approach. Okay. Now see. Function was fx was x plus 1 and x minus 1 for if x is even and if x is odd. Okay, so basically the domain is divided into two parts. X is even and x is odd. Okay, now if I check from x is even, for x is even, I can take x as 2n form. X is even, so it can take 2n form. If x is odd, it can take 2n plus 1 or 2n minus 1 form. It can take 2n plus 1 or 2n minus 1 form. Okay, fine. Where n belongs to, here in this case, n belongs to whole numbers. In this case, in this particular case, n belongs to whole numbers, and in this, n belongs to natural number. Understood? Fine. So I will first, for simplicity's sake, I will take these two cases. Okay. Now, if x is even, y is equals to, if x is even, y is equals to 2n plus 1. Y is equals to 2n plus 1. Okay. N belongs to whole number. N belongs to whole number. That means y is equals to all odd numbers. By n will start with 0. 2 into 0, 0 plus 1, 1. So that means y is all odd numbers if x is even. Okay. Now second part is x is odd. If x is odd, I can substitute x as 2n plus 1. If I substitute in this, so this will become y is equals to x minus 1. X is what? 2n plus 1. So this is 2n plus 1 minus 1, which is 2n. So y is equals to 2n. If y is equals to 2n and n belongs to whole number, that means y is equals to all even numbers. All even numbers. From right hand side, or when x is odd, I am getting y all even. X is even, y all odd. Right? If I will take the union of these two, so this is, I think, set, I will take a set 1, and this is, if I take set 2. So set 1 union set 2 will be equals to natural number union 0. Okay, I'm getting the range, so this becomes the range. If this is the range, this will also, if this is also equals to codomain, and if the range is equals to codomain, that means this is surjective in nature. This is okay. This was the mathematical explanation of why it is a surjective. Okay, fine. But if odd number is n plus 1 by 2, substitute n is equals to 3. 3 plus 1 by 2 is 2. So it becomes even, right? So n plus 1 by 2 is not a correct representation of odd numbers. And if n is equals to 1, even 1 by 2 will not be even. N is equals to suppose 6. 6 by 2, 3. 3 is not an even number. Okay. If the function is defined for real to real, then it's a different case. Right? We will move according to the question. Question is given, the codomain is natural numbers, or whole numbers, natural number union 0. So in that case, we will continue with the whatever the question is given. Okay. If it was real, then obviously the answer would be different. This is okay for everyone? Fine. Next. Now see. Till now we have seen different parts. Okay. Now what we will do now, we will try to define, or we will try to find out the domains of different functions, and okay. So one of you is asking 2n minus 1. See, if in this case, one of you is asking 2n minus 1. In this case, if instead of 2n plus 1, if I am taking 2n minus 1 and x is odd, then n has to be natural number. Okay, if I'm taking this part, then n belongs to natural number, because n is equals to 1, so this will become 1, n is equals to 2, this will become 3, and so on. If I'll substitute, so this will become, instead of 2n plus 1, this will become 2n minus 2. 2n minus 2. Now substitute n is equals to 1. What will you get? 0. Substitute n is equals to 2. What will you get? 2. Substitute n is equals to 3. You will get 4, and so on. Again, you will get 2n minus 2 is again an even number. 2n minus 2 again is an even number starting from 0. So again, you will get the same answer. Okay. So it does not matter if you take 2n minus 1. In this 2n minus 1, n belongs to natural number. But if you take 2n plus 1, n belongs to whole numbers. Okay. Accordingly, you will change the n which belongs to which set. N is natural number in this case, and n belongs to whole number in this case. I generally, in my solutions, I will always take 2n plus 1 so that I won't get confused every time. Okay, so I will take whole number in this case. Fine. Okay, so we have seen that the function is nothing but a machine. Function is nothing but a machine. In machine, what we do? We put something as input. If we put something as input, and in this machine, some process goes. This machine does some process, and it gives us as an output. It gives us something as an output. For example, if we have a mixer, juicer. Okay, if we have a juicer, if we put fruits in it, I will get the juice of that particular fruit. Suppose if I have orange, it will give me an orange juice. If I have something, a mango, it will give me a mango juice. Right? Orange, if I put in juicer, if I put orange, it will never give me mango juice. If I put mango, it will never give me orange juice. So whatever input I am giving, according to that input, I am getting as an output. Okay. Now tell me, will you ever put in juicer, will you ever put stones? You will never put a stone in a juicer. Why? Because if you put stone in a juicer, it will not be able to get the juice out of stones. So that means stone is a strictly no-no for a juicer. Similarly, these inputs, which we already know is the domain, are only those set of values which the function can process. And it will give the output according to the function, which values it take, it will give an output known as range of the function. Okay. Now, what is codomain? What do we mean by codomain? By suppose codomain is basically, without knowing, if I'm saying that okay, output will be somewhere in R. Without knowing, if I set output will, for this process, output will be R. Output is R. I will say that okay, output will take values in R. Okay. So I'm saying general that output is R. Okay, so this will become a codomain. That means this is my rough analysis that okay, all the output will belong in this set. Okay, but after I have run the machine, after I have done the process, I will get a specific set of numbers or a specific set of output. Using that output, I can say that okay, my general result was a bigger set. I can redefine and I can narrow down my set of R, and I can write down that okay, these particular values will be given by the process. Okay. For example, suppose if the function is sine of x. The function is sine of x, and I'm giving it all real values. I'm giving all real values. Now the function, if it is sine of x, if the function is sine of x, if I have said that okay, it will give all real values as output, real values as output. Now this was my general observation, general result, or general saying that this is generally that my all output will belongs to real numbers. Okay. But when I run the process, when I run the machine, when I drawn the diagram, when I drawn the curve, and when I plotted the curve, I saw that this general result was a bigger set. My smaller set was from -1 to 1. Okay, so this general result became my codomain. Okay, and what became my range? Range is only those values of y which it actually takes. So this becomes my range. Understood? If range becomes equal to codomain, we have already seen, we call it a surjective function. So this is okay. Fine. Now we will try to find out the basic, very basic methods to find different domains of different kind of functions. Okay, different domains for different kind of functions. So first, the most basic form of function will be polynomial function, linear function, and so on. You can always find, so for all polynomial functions or a linear function, linear is also a form of polynomial, or sine function or cos function or trigonometric function, means in some sine, cos, and some trigonometric functions. Okay. Yeah, for sine function and exponential function, also for polynomial function, we know that all domain will belongs to real numbers. Domain will belongs to real number. But for some particular examples, some particular functions, domain cannot be all real numbers. I will give you an example and we'll solve these questions in which we will see that the domain is not R. We have to find the actual domain in which the function will operate. Okay, fine. So suppose we have a function like this. F of x is equals to 1 upon x square. F of x is equals to 1 upon x square. Now, if f of x was x square, what will be the domain of this function? Domain of this function will belongs to R, because no matter what value of R you will take, you will get some output. And we are not bothered about output, we are only bothered about the domain. Right now we are only concerned about to find the domain of different functions, okay, or different mappings. Okay, now in this fx is equals to, if fx is equals to 1 by x square, we can say that x square will give you all the outputs, including 0. So that means all the outputs in positive range. So that means 0 to infinity, right? But when I substitute 0 here, what will I get? I will get fx is equals to, f of 0 will become 1 by 0. Now this is not defined in maths, We actually do not know that what happens when we have 1 by 0. We do not know. Okay, this is not infinity. We do not know. It is represented as infinity. That is just a notation that, okay, I do not want to write every time not defined, so I'll write it at infinity. Infinity in some cases means that this is not defined. So this particular is not defined. So what I'll say that in this function, in this machine, in this function fx, which is 1 by x square, what all inputs can I take? I can take all real values minus 0. So this becomes now the domain of this function. So domain of this function becomes real minus 0. Only this value of 0 we cannot take for this function. Understood? Only this value of 0 we cannot take for this function. Okay, I'll give you one more example. I want you to solve it. Okay, so find the domain of this function. Fx is equals to 1 by x square plus 2x. Fx is equals to, this is first question, this is second question. Fx is equals to 1 by x cube minus x. Third is fx is equals to 1 by x cube plus x, and fourth is fx is equals to 1 by x square plus 2. Okay, first for these 4 functions, try to find out the domain of this function. Okay, Okay, let's first find out the answer for the first question. So fx is equals to 1 by x square plus 2x. Okay, now this part can take all the values except when this is equal to 0. But this cannot be equal to 0. This can be any value except equal to 0. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll find whenever this x square plus 2x is equal to 0, x square plus 2x is equal to 0. So I'll write x into x plus 2 is equal to 0. So I'll write x is equal to 0 and x is equal to minus 2. That means for these two values, if I'll substitute in this, this will become 1 by 0 form, which is not defined. Similarly, we did in the previous case. What we did in the previous case? In the previous case, we remove all those values of x for which 1 by 0 is coming. In this case, it was x is equal to 0 and we are getting 0. So I will remove that case. In this particular case, I will do the exact same thing. I will find wherever it is 0 and I will remove that. So in this only, it can take all the real values except which two values, 0 and minus 2. So this becomes the domain of this function. This becomes the domain of this function. Okay, this becomes the domain of this function. Fine. Now next is second part. Try to solve the second part. 1 upon x cube minus 6. Okay, in this case, again, I will substitute this equal to 0. So x cube minus x is equal to 0. So this becomes x square minus 1 into x is equal to 0. For this case, either this is equal to 0 or this is equal to 0. So once x is equal to 0 or x square minus 1 equal to 0. In this, I will get x is equals to plus minus 1. So that means for these three values, that is x is equal to 0 or x is equals to plus minus 1, we will get x is equals to plus minus 1, we will get what? X is equals to plus minus 1, we will get what? It equals to 0. So that means the domain of this function will be r minus 0 comma plus minus 1. Only three values of x I cannot take in this function. If I will take three values of x in these three values, it will become 0. So I'll remove this. So this becomes the domain. Clear enough? Okay. For the next part, I'll find for the next part. Now I'll substitute again x cube plus x equal to 0 because this should not be 0. So I'll find for which values it is 0. So it is x into x square plus 1 equal to 0. So for this one, x is equal to 0 and this is x square plus 1 equal to 0. Now for real values of x, can this ever be equal to 0? No, this is never equal to 0. So that means only for one value of x, that is x is equal to 0, this will be 1 by 0. So I will remove that one value of x. Understood? So that means I will remove this part. If I remove this, any other value will satisfy. Okay. Look at the last case. I will check whether this is equal to 0 at any point. So x square plus 2 is equal to 0. Now, x square plus 2 is equal to 0. Now x square plus 2 is equal to 0. Is this ever possible? Is this ever possible for real numbers of x? No. X square plus 2 will never be equal to 0 for any real value of x. That means all the value of x, can be taken in this. So that means in this x belongs to real numbers in domain. Okay. In this case, it is not negative numbers. We are not bothered about whether the function will take negative value or positive value. We are only bothered about the denominator should not be equal to 0. The denominator in all three cases, in all the four cases, the denominator should not be equal to 0. It can be negative by f of x is equals to 1 by minus 1 is equals to minus 1. F of x is equals to 1 by minus 2 is equals to minus 1 by 2. These are real values. So we are not bothered about negative. We are not bothered about negative. We are only bothered about the denominator should not be 0. If the denominator is 0, then we have a problem. If the denominator is 0, then only we have a problem. Okay, fine. So after this, we will see one method in which we can find out the domain in which the function is negative or positive. Okay, suppose if I have given you a function like f of x is equals to under root of x square plus x square minus 1. If I have given you a function as under root of x square minus 1. Now, in this case, because there is an under root, f of x is equals to under root of x. X has to be always greater than 0, right? X has to be always greater than 0. Now, for such cases in which you have to just check the sign, in all those cases in which you just have to check the sign, we have a method for this which is known as wavy curve method. Wavy curve method, which is wavy curve method. Okay, so I'll write the algorithm to find the way to solve for wavy curve method, from which we can check whether the function is positive or negative in a particular domain. Okay, the algo for wavy curve method is, first is find all the factors and find all the factors and the critical points of these factors. Okay, first is find all the factors. Just I'm writing it down, I will explain using an example. Okay, find all the factors and write the critical points of all these factors. Okay, second is, I will explain what this is. Second is arrange all the critical points in ascending or descending order on number line. Okay, second is, first method is to find the factors and using those factors find the critical points. Second is arrange all the critical point in ascending order or descending order on the number line. It will be same. Okay, now third is take one extreme and find the sign of the function. Take one extreme and find the sign of the function. Okay, first you write all these 3 points, copy all these 3 points, and then I'll explain what does this mean and how you can use this to find the sign of that particular function. Remember, this is only used to find sign of function. This is only used to find the sign of the function. Okay, I hope you have written this down. Fine. So in the previous case, I have f of x is equals to under root of x square minus 1. I have to check the sign of this x square minus 1. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll first write down x square minus 1, its factors of x square minus 1. So x square minus 1 can be written as x plus 1 into x minus 1. So these are the two factors. X plus 1 and x minus 1. Now I'll find the critical points. Critical points will be each factor I will equate equal to 0. Each factor I will equate equal to 0. So x plus 1 equal to 0 and x minus 1 equal to 0. So from this I will get x is equals to minus 1. From this I will get x is equals to 1. Okay. These are the two critical points. These are the two critical points. These are the two critical points of this function. Okay. Now what I have to do? I have to arrange these two critical points as in ascending order. So this is minus 1 and 1 on number line. Okay, these are two critical points, -1 and 1 on the number. Now, what I'll do at one extreme means at x tending to infinity, that means at x, when x is taking a very large number, I'll find the sign of the original function. When x is tending to infinity, the sign of this function will be positive. Suppose x is 1000, or x is 10, 10 square, 100 minus 1, 99. If I take any more number, it will be positive. A number greater than 10 will be also positive. That means when x is tending to infinity till 1, it is positive or positive. Understood? So in this point, it is positive. Okay. Now, in between these two, it will be negative. And then again, before -1, it will be positive. Okay. So positive, negative, positive. This method is known as Wavy curve. Now remember, this is not the exact curve. This is not the curve. This is just, I'm representing that this part will be positive, this part will be negative, and this part again is positive. Okay. Now I have to take only the positive part where this function is, this part is positive. I just have to take the positive where this is positive. So I will take x belongs to -infinity to -1, -infinity to -1. Now -1 can be included or excluded. If I take -1, this will become 0. Under root of 0 is 0. So that means -1 will be included. Union, can I take anything between these two? Can I take anything in between these two? See, if I substitute 0 in this, 0 minus 1 will become -1. Under root of -1 is not defined. Yes, that is fine. That means anything in between these two I cannot take. Again, from 1, if I substitute 1, it will become 1 minus 1, 0. 0 will be, so 1 to infinity. Okay, so this will become the domain of this function. Domain of this function, this particular function. Okay, just check it. Then I'll move on to the next example. With more example, you will be able to understand more this Wavy curve. It is a notation. Infinity we cannot put in this sign. We will always put infinity with this sign. It's just a notation because we do not know what is the ending. So we will always keep it open, that it will always keep on increasing. That this is just a notation how will we represent infinity. We will always keep infinity in open brackets, not in closed brackets. Okay, because infinity is a never ending number. This we do not know. When we put this, that means we know this is 1 and this is included. Right? This is not 1.1, this is not 0.99, this is exact 1. 1 is included and everything after 1 is included. Okay. I'll take one more example. Suppose, okay, I'll take one more example. With more examples, you will be able to understand this perfectly. Okay. Suppose instead of x square minus 1, I have 1 minus x square. Instead of x square minus 1, I have 1 minus x square. Okay. So the process, first, I will write the factors. I have to check whether this is positive or not. I have to check this is positive. Wherever it is positive, I can substitute those values of x and it will become my domain. Okay. So 1 minus x square, I can write as 1 minus x into 1 plus x. These will be my two factors. Second is, I will find the critical points. So 1 minus x is equal to 0. So this will give me x is equals to 1. And 1 plus x is equal to 0. This will give me x is equals to -1. These becomes my two critical points. Fine. Third part was that I will put these values of x in ascending order. So first is -1, then it is 1. Okay. Now, after putting ascending order, I will take at one extreme. So generally in my case, I will always prefer plus infinity. You can always check for minus infinity also. It will give you exactly same result. So for x tending to infinity, when x is a very large number, this 1 minus x square will become negative. Suppose if I substitute x is equals to 10, this will become 1 minus 10 square. This will become 1 minus 100 minus 99. That means when x is a very large number, this is becoming negative. Okay. When x is between -1 and 1, so negative, then it will become positive in between these two, then it will become negative in between. after this. So this becomes negative. This is Viveka. Mine negative after 1, positive before 1, and after -1, and then again negative before -1. Okay. So which values I have to take? I have to take these values where it is positive. So x belongs to -1 to 1. -1 can be included, yes. 1 minus 1 square is 0. 1 minus 1 square is also 0. So these two will be included. This will become the domain. You can also check. Suppose if we substitute x is equals to -10, 1 minus of -10 square will give you under root of 1 minus of 100, which is under root of -99, which is not defined. Not defined. Okay, so that is why in between these. Fine. But a division wala I will tell division when we are dividing these part, when we are dividing, what will happen? I will tell that also. Okay, this is fine. This example is okay. I'll take one more example. Okay, x square plus 3x plus 2. Now try to find out the part or domain of this particular function wherever it is positive. Try to find out this function wherever, find out the domain of this function. Okay, let's try to find out. Let's see. First is we'll write the factors. So x square plus 3x plus 2 I can write as x plus 1 into x plus 2. By these will be the two factors. I've divided this. I've broken down this into the two factors. These are my two factors. Second is I'll find the critical points. How do I find the critical points? I will substitute the factors equal to 0. So x plus 1 equal to 0 and x plus 2 equal to 0. From this, I will have x is equals to -1, and from this, I will have x is equals to -2, right? -1 and -2 are the two critical points. These two becomes my critical points. Critical points. If these are two critical points, the third step was to plot the critical points on the number line in ascending order. So this is -2, -1. -2 will be lesser than -1. Now, what I will do now, at one extreme, when x is tending to infinity, I will check the sign. When x is tending to infinity, this will be, obviously this will be positive. So that means x tending to infinity, this will be positive. Then in between -1, positive, it will change sign negative. Then again, it will change sign positive. So that means in between -1 and infinity, it is positive. And minus infinity to -2 it is positive. But between -2 and -1, between -2 and -1, it is always negative. Okay, between -2 and -1, it is always negative. So what will be my domain? So domain will become -infinity to -2 union -1 to infinity. Okay, by these two these values I already know, -infinity and infinity. I just have to check what bracket I have to put at -2. Can I substitute -2? If I substitute -2 in this will become under root 0. Under root 0 is defined. Yes, under root 0 is defined. So that means I will substitute. I will put close bracket. -1 if I substitute, it will again become 0. Can I put -1? Yes. So that means the domain of this particular function will be -infinity to -2 close bracket union -1 close bracket to infinity. Okay, let's check this. Okay, I will give you some examples. I want you to solve it as a homework. I will give you some examples. I want you to solve it as a homework and tell me if you are not able to get anyone. I will solve it in the next class. Okay. You have to find the domain of these particular functions. F of x is equals to, these are different functions I'm writing in first. So first is under root of x cube plus x. Second is under root of x plus x square. Third is under root of, okay, I'll explain the brackets of domain and tell. Third is x plus 1. Fourth is under root of x plus 1 whole square. Fifth is under root of x plus 1 into 2x plus 2. Yeah, critical points in this, critical points are nothing but the roots of the particular equation. If you know the roots, then it is okay. Otherwise, I'm just simply writing the roots of those factors. Yes. See, why have I taken close bracket minus 2 and close bracket minus 1? If I take close bracket, if I take minus 2 here, minus 2 square is 4. 4 plus 2, 6. Minus 6, 0. So minus 2, when I substitute in this function, you will get f of minus 2 is equals to under root 0, which is 0. It is defined. It is okay. By 0 is okay. If minus 1, if I substitute, f of minus 1 is equals to under root of 0. It is 0. It is okay. It is defined. That means I will just check critical points. Critical points is defined. Then I will take those critical points as a domain. If critical points are not defined for that particular function, then I will exclude them. We will see in some question where critical points will be excluded also. It is not that we will always take critical points. In some question, critical points will be excluded also. But in this particular case, when I'm substituting critical points, I'm getting equal to 0. If I am getting equal to 0, it is okay. I'm perfectly fine with equal to 0 also. Understood? Fine? Okay. Now write these questions. I will solve these questions in the next class. I want you to practice these questions and solve them. बच्चे before minus 2 x is only minus, only x is negative. Before minus 2 only x is negative, but when you substitute minus 2 in the function, it will give you a positive value. Suppose x square is always positive, x square is always positive or non-negative including 0. X square is always non-negative, right? Even if I take x as -1, it will give me +1. So that is why it is not independent of x. It is the whole function which gives you positive or negative. That is why before minus 2, it is always positive. And after minus 2 and before minus 1, if the function will take values, it will be negative.